It's September 20th, 2023. It's This Week in Comics. Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Comics. I'm Dustin Dry at 2birdstoned at 2birdstoned815. We got a bunch of number ones to get to this week. It's some number 2, some number 3s, an annual. We go up to number 6. We have one series. Let's go. Hexagon Bridge number 1. Written and art by Richard Blake. This comic is set 2,000 years in the future where two cartographers are tasked with exploring a parallel dimension. Where they are, I do not know, but the Inception style art has me definitely intrigued and I'm curious to see where this series is going. Never bored, always entertained. I give Hexagon Bridge number 1 an 8 out of 10. Captain America number 1, written by J. Michael Straczynski, art by Jesus Saiz and Matt Hollingsworth. This is the first Captain America comic I have ever read, so you can kind of take my review with a grain of salt. The issue itself is okay to good, although it's a bit long, and honestly I thought that the art was a little bit static and needed more movement. I like the idea of a comic where being Captain America is kind of a hindrance to being Steve Rogers. It's kind of the Spider-Man formula, but this issue is really only okay for me. I'm not going to keep reading it. I'm not a big Captain America fan. Captain America number 1 is a 7 out of 10. Wonder Woman number 1, written by Tom King, art by Daniel Sampere and Tomev Mori. This is a good, promising start as Tom King takes over the Wonder Woman franchise. It's a number 1, so there is a ton of exposition, and it's Tom King, so it doesn't all make sense right away for sure. But the art is great, and I trust King when it comes to writing. Plus, there's a mid-level tease in the middle of the issue that does get paid off if you're paying attention on the final page. Wonder Woman number 1 is a 7.5 out of 10. Green Lantern War Journal number 1, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Montos and Adriana Lucas. This is a good book that really touches on what does it mean to be a lantern. It's got plenty of action and a mildly heartbreaking scene between mother, son, and daughter, actually. There's plenty of promise of action to come. Green Lantern War Journal number 1 is a 7.5 out of 10. Predator vs. Wolverine number 1, written by Benjamin Percy with art by Ken Lashley, Greg Land, Jay Leaston, and Andrea DeVito. This is a highly entertaining and intriguing setup that actually makes sense for both Wolverine and Predator. Logan is hunted by the Predator across his lifespan as we check in at various points throughout the issue. The art in this comic is detailed and dynamic, and there's plenty of blood to go around, especially for Predator vs. Wolverine. Predator vs. Wolverine number 1 is an 8 out of 10. XMen Annual number 1, written by Paul Aller, art by Alessandro Miracolo and Annalisa Leone. It's Cyclops versus Captain Marvel as Agatha rounds out her chaos-powered team. An okay issue with an okay conflict that was less inventive than other Contest of Chaos issues. But the contest is coming to an end with Avengers Annual next week, but X-Men Annual number 1 is a 6.5 out of 10. What If Dark Carnage number 1, written by Larry Hama, art by John McCrea and Mike Spencer. I've never read a Carnage comic, so therefore I was lost through most of this issue. I actually really enjoyed the art style and how the story was told, but I don't think Carnage is for me. What If Dark Carnage number 1 is a 6 out of 10. Big Game number 3, written by Mark Millar, art by Pepe Larraz and Giovanna Nero. Down goes Huck in Superior and most of Nightclub. Dave is back! The Magic Order sitting this one out? Eggsy and Hit Girl on the case. A lot of people die and a lot of chess pieces move across the board of this miniseries, especially in this issue. Even though I have not read everything Mark Millar, I'm actually really enjoying this series, especially as it chugs along. Big Game number 3 is an 8.5 out of 10. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things number 3, written by Cameron Chittick, art by Pharaoh Pei and Sophie Dodgson. After the chaos of issue 2, I was a little skeptical, but issue 3 does a way better job of showing the similarities between the two franchises, as well as kind of establishing a better way of going back and forth between the two groups. I enjoy it, it's fun, and the series is only getting better. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Stranger Things number 3 is a 7.5 out of 10. Titans number 3, written by Tom Taylor with art by Nicola Scott and Annette Kwok. The Titans investigate the Church of Blood, where not all is as it seems, especially with Garth. Wally is still going to die in 48 hours, although they have not figured out how yet. A meteor, a weird and super creepy kiss, if you will, on the final page, as well as another immaculately drawn issue. Titans number 3 is an 8 out of 10. Hawkgirl number 3, written by Jadzia Axelrod with art by Aminke Nahupan and Adriana Lucas. This book is becoming increasingly grating. I'm all for diversity and celebrating it for sure, but when your book spends the majority of its time being like, look how diverse I am, I lose interest. The story and the art are both whatever, and honestly, just like people said after number 1, I'm not going to finish this series. I'm ending it here at issue number 3. If you wish to continue and let me know how it goes, good for you, but I'm done. Hawkgirl number 3, 5 out of 10. Death of the Venomverse number 4, written by Cullen Bunn with art by Gerardo Sandoval, Victor Olazagla, and Jim Campbell. Honestly, guys, I don't even think I'm enjoying this book. It's a 90s book in all the worst ways possible. It's big, it's bombastic, with absolutely zero heart to it. The backup stories were notably weaker this issue, although I will say that I haven't really been enjoying the one story anyway. The Kid Venom story's okay. Death of the Venomverse number 4 is a 6 out of 10. I am going to finish it, but woof, not great. Deadpool Bad Blood number 4, written by Rob Liefeld and Chad Bowers, with art by Rob Liefeld, Corey Hampshire, Chance Wolfe, and J. David Ramos. The art and the action and the collection of characters and everything in this book are so cool. However, the story is dumb as shit. Take everything I said about 90s issue, big, bombastic, lots of action, but super dumb, no heart, and just apply it right here. Deadpool Bad Blood number 4 is a 5 out of 10. I'm gonna finish it because there's only 5 of them, but come on, guys. The Vigil number 5, written by Ram V, with art by Sid Koshin, Dev Pramanik, and Rain Barreda. Who created the Vigil and how, who Mr. Lightless is, and who the big bad is are all revealed in this issue. Great art, great characters, and a great story show that giving new characters and new writers life is a good idea by some of these major companies. If you can't tell, I'm really enjoying The Vigil. The Vigil number 5 is an 8 out of 10. Guardians of the Galaxy number 6, written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, with art by Alex Linz and KJ Diaz. This is a reflective issue where we see what actually happened during Groupfall and why each of the Guardians finds themselves responsible. Having guest artists this issue actually helped kind of sell the void-like state they must be in, and the story is great as it's been all series. Guardians of the Galaxy number 6 is an 8.5 out of 10. Last but not least is Loki number 4. Last but not least because Loki is over. Loki, written by Dan Waters with art by Mike Spicer and Herman Peralta. In this series, Loki is the king of the Frost Giants, and he's no longer the god of lies, but the god of stories. Some of the Frost Giants under his command steal Nilfgaard, the ship that is made of dead man's fingernails, and send it careening throughout time. One of the pieces ends up with the dwarves, where they make a weapon that Loki has to defeat, and another piece ends up in the Kree Skrull Empire thousands of years in the past that he then has to deal with in the present with Wiccan and Hulkling, ultimately kind of losing his one ally. The last piece goes to Midgard, aka Earth, where Bullseye has shaped it into a book that will tell you the truth or a truth that you've been buried. A pop-in by Spider-Man and a couple of other costume heroes. This issue really was reflective as we draw the series to an end, because what we learned on the final page is Loki is the god of lies again, and I'm sure it's going to have a big effect on the immortal Thor. Loki number 4 is an 8.5 out of 10, and Loki the miniseries is an 8 out of 10. If you love the god of lies, if you love a good story, check it out. Alrighty guys, that's it for September 20th. Let's look ahead to the 27th. The Flash, number 1. Avengers Annual, number 1. Marvel Unleashed, number 2. The Penguin, number 2. Superman, The Last Days of Lex Luthor, number 2. Tales of the Titans, number 3. Ultimate Invasion Conclusion, Ultimate Invasion, number 4. Void Rivals, number 4. Green Arrow, number 4. Avengers, number 5. Death of the Venomverse, number 5. Batman, The Brave and the Bold, number 5. Spirit World, number 5. I think that's the conclusion. Unstoppable Doom Patrol, number 6. Doc Aphra, number 36. Next week, I'm also going to touch on the trade paperbacks for Silver Surfer Ghostlight, Vanish Volume 2, and Local Man Volume 1. Alrighty guys, that's going to wrap up everything for September 20th, 2023. I appreciate all the support out there, all the views. Please like, comment, subscribe. Remember, we are at 2birdstoned815. We might have to change the number if you can't find it, but please click, comment, subscribe. We enjoy all the interaction. My name is Dustin Dry. I'm your bumbling guide to all things comics. I try to get it right, but I get it wrong just as much as I get it right. And that's okay, because guess what? Just an opinion. I appreciate all the support out there. Please go to your local comic book shop. Remember, Mega City 2 in Bakersfield, California. I'm there every week. I might film there one of these weeks. They're my guys. But until I'm there next week to talk shop, let's fade to black and see you next week.